Erev Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. We are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Yevamot. We are up to Perek Yudaled Mishna Gimel. Today's Mishnayot should be Leilu Nishmat Neria ben Svetlana Ranbai V'Eliyahu ben Burcha Yisrael ben Chana bat Miriam Menuchatam began Eden. Amen. Le'avdi ben Chaim lechaim v'derefua shenemav Daniel Shalom ben Rosa and Mariana Miriam Chaya bat Tamara betor Shach Chulei Yisrael. After teaching the laws of the marriage and divorce of a deaf, mute man or woman, the Mishnah now discusses cases of Yibum involving such marriages. Shnei achim chershim nisuim l'shtei achayot chershot. If two deaf-mute brothers are married to two deaf-mute sisters, or l'shtei achayot pikchot, or are married to two normal sisters, or l'shtei achayot achad chereshet v'achad pikachat, or are married to two sisters, one who is a deaf-mute and one who is normal, or shtei achayot chershot nisuot l'shnei achim pikchim, or if two deaf-mute sisters are married to two normal brothers, or l'shnei achim chershin, or are married to two deaf-mute brothers, or l'shnei achin echad cheresh v'echad pikeach, or are married to two brothers, one who is a deaf-mute and one who is normal. The law is as follows: if one of the brothers dies without children and his widow falls to the second brother for yibum consideration, are'elu piturot min hachalitza min ha'yibum. All of these widows are exempt both from chalitza and from yibum. Since in each case the widow is a sister to the wife of the second brother, she is forbidden to him as an erva, as we learned in Chapter 1, Mishnah 1, that a widow who is an erva to the avam is exempt from both yibum and chalitza. Although in all of these cases the second brother's marriage involves a deaf mute, now the Mishnah listed two sets of cases, one in which both brothers are deaf mutes and the other in which both of their wives were deaf mutes. Either way, all of the marriages involved at least one deaf mute and were only rabbinically valid, and therefore the widow is an ervatim on the rabbinic level. This is still enough to cancel the yibum ban, because the first brother's marriage also involved the deaf mute and was therefore also only rabbinic. Since they both have the same type of rabbinic marriage, the erva status created by that level of marriage is enough to erase a yibum ban from that level of marriage. We learned in Mishnah 1 that a deaf mute man or woman may marry rabbinically. We see from our Mishnah that this is true even where both spouses are deaf mutes. The Mishnah discusses the law where the widow was not a sister of the second brother's wife, but in any of these above cases, the two wives were strangers to each other, meaning they were not related. Yichnosu, the second brother in each case should marry them, perform yibum with the widow, since she is not nervatim. V'im ratzu yotziu, and afterward, if they wish to divorce the widow they married, they may divorce her. Even if the avam is a deaf mute, his divorce is rabbinically valid for the rabbinic marriage he now has with the widow. As we explained in Mishnah 1, since the widow's original marriage to the first brother was only valid on the rabbinic level, the marriage created by the yibum is also only rabbinic. However, they cannot perform chalitza with the Yevamah, because in these cases, either they or the Yevamah are deaf mutes, and a deaf mute cannot perform chalitza because a deaf mute is unable to recite the verses of the chalitza ceremony, like we spoke about earlier in chapter 12, Mishnah 4. Therefore, the only way to free the Yevamah is to marry again, is to perform yibum and then divorce her. Since the widow's marriage to the first brother was valid on the rabbinic level, she is now bound to the avam for yibum or chalitza. But since chalitza is not an option, the avam must perform yibum with her, which will make her his wife on the rabbinic level. Then he can divorce her if he does not wish to be married to her and free her to marry someone else. And that is then a Mishnah Gimel. Now, Mishnah Gimel discussed, just to summarize, the case of two married brothers where both of their marriages were rabbinic because both involved the deaf mute. This Mishnah, Mishnah Daled, discusses a series of cases in which only one brother's marriage involves a deaf mute and is rabbinic, while the other brother's marriage does not involve a deaf mute and is biblically valid. Shnei achim echad cheresh v'echad pikeach. Two brothers, one of them a deaf mute and the other one normal. Were married to two normal sisters. Med cheresh bala pikacha, the deaf mute, who was the husband of one of the normal sisters, died without children. Now, since both sisters were normal, it's obvious that the deaf mute was married to a normal woman, and Mishnah uses this identification because of a later case where it's helpful to specify which deaf mute we mean. But again, in this case, two brothers, one of them a deaf mute and the other one normal, were married to two normal sisters. The deaf mute, who was the husband of one of the normal sisters, died without children. What should the normal brother, who is the husband of the other normal sister, do? He does not do anything, either yibum or chalitza, because the widow goes out free from the yibum ban on account of being the sister of his wife, who is married to him on the biblical level. Since both he and his wife are not deaf mutes, their marriage is biblically valid, and his wife's sister is clearly forbidden to him as an erva. this is certainly enough to prevent the Yibum ban, which in this case would anyway be only rabbinic. The Mishnah now considers the reverse case. The normal brother died and his widow fell to the deaf-mute brother for Yibum. Met pikach bala pikachat. If the normal brother, the husband of one of the normal sisters, died without children, maya secheresh bala pikachat. What should the deaf-mute brother, the husband of the other normal sister, do? Since his wife is married to him only on the rabbinic level, while his brother's wife was married to him on the biblical level, she cannot truly be considered an ervat to the deaf-mute. Since he is a deaf-mute, his marriage is valid only rabbinically. Biblically, she is not his wife at all. His brother's wife, on the other hand, was biblically married to him since both of them were normal. Therefore, when the brother dies and his wife falls for Yibum to the deaf-mute, she is only rabbinically nervatim, but biblically bound for Yibum. The rabbinic erva status cannot free her from a biblical Yibum bond. So what should she then do? What should he do then? Motzi ishto beget. The deaf-mute must divorce his own wife with a get because she is now forbidden to him as a sister of his Yevamot. Like we learned in chapter 3, Mishnah 1, the rabbis prohibited the sister of a zikukah because she is similar to a wife's sister. This was not a problem in the first case of the Mishnah because the widow in that case was a biblical erva and a no yibum ban. So here, the deaf-mute must divorce his own wife with a get. Veshed achiv asura leolam, and his brother's wife is forbidden to marry anyone forever. He cannot perform Yibum with her because she is his wife's sister on a rabbinic level. He may not perform Yibum with her even after he divorces his wife because the prohibition to marry a wife's sister remains even after divorce, like we spoke in chapter 4, Mishnah 13. She can also not marry any other man because she is biblically bound to him for Yibum, and he cannot free her from this bond with Chalitza since he is a deaf-mute. A deaf-mute cannot perform Chalitza like we learned in the previous Mishnah. Of course, there's another brother he can perform Yibum and Chalitza. The Mishnah speaks of a case where there was only these two brothers. The Mishnah now switches to a case where both brothers were normal, but one of the sisters was a deaf-mute. The brother married to the deaf-mute sister is married only rabbinically, whereas the brother married to the normal sister is married biblically. Like in the previous case, the law for Yibum depends on which one of the brothers died. Shnei achim pikchim, two normal brothers, nisuim mishtei achayot, achat chesed v'achat pikachat, were married to two sisters, one of them a deaf-mute and one of them normal. Met pikach bal chereshet. If the normal brother, the husband of the deaf-mute sister, died without children, what should the other normal brother, who is the husband of the normal sister, do? He does not do anything, either Yibum or Chalitza, because the widow goes out from the Yibum ban on account of being the sister of his wife. Since he is normal and married to the normal sister, the widow is forbidden to him as a biblical erva. The Mishnah now considers the reverse case. Met pikech bal pikachet. If the normal brother, the husband of the normal sister, died without children, mayaseh pikech bal chereshet. What should the normal brother, the husband of the deaf-mute sister, do? Since his marriage to his deaf-mute wife is only rabbinically valid, while his brother's marriage was biblically valid, his brother's widow cannot truly be considered a nervat to him. Therefore, motziat ishto beget. He must divorce his wife with a get, because she is now the sister of his Yevamot, who is bound to him on a biblical level. Since in this case the widow is the normal sister, and she was married to a normal man, her marriage to him was valid on a biblical level. She is therefore biblically bound for Yibum to the surviving brother. So again, he must divorce his wife with a get, and she is rabbinically forbidden to him as a sister of a zikukah. And he should release his brother's wife with chalitza. He cannot marry her in Yibum because she is his wife's sister on a rabbinic level. However, since he is normal, he can do chalitza with her and permit her to remarry. In this case, the only deaf-mute is the surviving brother's wife. The surviving brother himself and the widow are both not deaf-mutes and may therefore perform chalitza. The Mishnah now considers a case where both the husband and the wife in one of these marriages were deaf-mutes. Shnei achim, echad chesh v'echad pikach, two brothers, one of them a deaf-mute and one of them normal. Nisrun mishtei achayot, echad chesh v'echad pikachat, were married to two sisters, one of them a deaf-mute and one of them normal. The deaf-mute brother was married to the deaf-mute sister, while the normal brother was married to the normal sister. One of the brothers then died. The law is as follows. Met cheresh bal chereshet, if the deaf-mute who was the husband of the deaf-mute sister died without children, mayaseh pikech bal pikachat, what should the normal brother, the husband of the normal sister, do? He does not do anything, either Yibum or Chalitza, since the widow goes out from her Yibum ban on account of being the sister of his wife. Met pikech bal pikachat, but if the normal brother, the husband of the normal sister, died without children, mayaseh bal chereshet, what should the deaf-mute brother, the husband of the deaf-mute sister, do? Since his marriage is only rabbinic, he cannot free the widow from her biblical Yibum ban. Motzi ishto beget. he must divorce his wife with the get, since she is now the sister of his Yevamah and rabbinically forbidden to him. And his brother's wife is forbidden to marry anyone forever. You cannot perform yibum with her because she is his wife's sister on the rabbinic level. She cannot marry any other person because she is biblically bound to him for yibum. And he cannot perform chalitza with her because he's a deaf mute. The Mishnah will now discuss cases where the brothers were married to women who were not related to each other. In all of these cases, one of their marriages involved a deaf mute and is only rabbinically valid. The first case is where one of the brothers is a deaf mute and the two wives are normal. Two brothers, one of them a deaf mute and the other one normal. Were married to two strangers, unrelated women, both of whom were normal. If the deaf mute brother, the husband of a normal woman, died without children, what should the normal brother, the husband of the other normal woman, do? He performs either yibum or chalitza with the widow because she was married to his deaf mute brother on a rabbinic level and she is not related to his present wife. So all the regular laws of yibum apply on a rabbinic level. But if the normal brother, the husband of one of the normal women, died without children, what should the deaf mute brother, the husband of the other normal woman, do? He cannot perform chalitza with her since he is a deaf mute. Therefore, kones, he should marry the widow by performing yibum with her since she is not related to his wife. But he can never divorce her because his marriage to her is valid on a biblical level. Since both the widow and her deceased husband were normal, their marriage was biblically valid, so her yibum bond to a deaf mute brother is also biblical. When the deaf mute performs yibum with her, that too is biblically valid because yibum does not require the intent of the avam, like we learned in chapter 6, Mishnah 1. So a deaf mute's lack of intelligence is not a problem. Therefore, when he performs yibum with her, she becomes his wife even on a biblical level. And a deaf mute husband cannot divorce biblically, like we learned in Mishnah 1. Therefore, he can never divorce her. The next case deals with the opposite situation. The two brothers are both normal, but one of the wives is a deaf mute. Here too, the wives are unrelated to each other. Two normal brothers were married to two unrelated women. One of them normal, the other one a deaf mute. If the normal brother, the husband of the deaf mute woman, died without children, what should the normal brother, the husband of the normal woman, do? He cannot perform chalitza with her because she is a deaf mute. And as we learned in the previous Mishnah, neither a deaf mute avam nor a deaf mute widow can perform chalitza since they cannot recite the necessary verses. Kones, therefore he should marry the widow by performing yibum with her since she is not related to his wife. And afterward, if he wants to divorce her, he may divorce her since he is normal and she can accept a divorce even though she is a deaf mute, like we learned in Mishnah 1. But if the normal brother, husband of the normal woman, died without children, what should the normal brother, husband of the deaf woman do? He performs either chalitza since both him and the widow are not deaf mutes, or yibum since the widow is not related to him. The final case of the Mishnah is where both the husband and the wife of one of the couples are deaf mutes, and the two wives are not related to each other. Two brothers, one of them a deaf mute, the other one normal. Were married to two unrelated women, one of them a deaf mute, the other one normal. The deaf mute brother was married to the deaf mute woman, and the normal brother was married to the normal woman. If one of the brothers died without children, the law is as follows. If the deaf mute brother, the husband of the deaf mute woman, died without children, what should the normal brother, the husband of the normal woman, do? He cannot perform chalitza with her since she is a deaf mute. However, yibum is valid biblically even though she is a deaf mute, since yibum does not require the intent of the Yevamah, like we saw in chapter 6, Mishnah 1. Therefore, kones, he should marry the widow by performing yibum with her since she is not related to him. And afterward, if he wants a divorce, he may divorce her since he is normal and she can accept the divorce even though she is a deaf mute. But if the normal brother, the husband of the normal woman, died without children, what should the deaf mute brother, the husband of the deaf mute woman, do? Kones, he should marry the widow by performing yibum with her since she is not related to him, and he cannot perform chalitza with her since he is a deaf mute. But he can never divorce her since the yibum is biblically valid, and a deaf mute husband cannot divorce biblically, again because the original marriage of the widow to the deceased brother was biblical. Since they were both normal and he is capable of performing a biblically valid yibum, he has to do yibum, and he can never divorce her since again a deaf mute husband cannot divorce biblically. That is Rabotai, today's Mishna Yomi. Everybody should have an Erev Shabbat Shalom. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.